Hello again everyone, this is MarcBrightside and welcome back to A Bug's Life on the N64. This is actually the level that me and Albati got up to when we first tried to record this game about 2 years ago, and this level kind of broke us. This was the point in the game where we just thought, oh fuck this, no, we don't want to do this anymore. And hopefully you'll see why. I really cannot stand this level. It's... oh, there's so many things wrong. But anyway, we head over here.
Need more grain.
Yeah, you hear me, needs more grain. Scattered throughout this level are these weird flaming leaf barriers. I don't really know what to call them. The flames there are actually a bottomless pit, so when we eventually get that barrier down, you can actually fall into the abyss there and that will cost you a life. But in order to do so, we need to collect a requisite number of grain. So that door back there had a 20 on it, we need 20 pieces of grain. And how this level is set up is that there is one central pathway that will take you from the beginning of the level to the end, through to the end rather. And if you're not going for 100% completion, if you're just looking to finish the level and get it over with, and no one would blame you, seriously, if you're just looking to finish the level, the central pathway will do that for you, but you're missing out on about 40% of the level architecture by doing so. You won't get the gold berry, you won't get any of the flick tokens at all. Every single thing... if you want to collect any of those 3 tokens at the end of the level, you know, the completion tokens for getting all 50 pieces of grain, etc., you will have to backtrack, and I hate that. I really hate that. This level kind of stands out as being one of the worst. I mean, look at the environment we're in at the moment. It's the same wall texture being repeated endlessly over and over and over. I mean, look at the draw distance when we enter this cavern. That's so bad. The environment just grows out of nothing. It looks terrible. And it's really easy to get lost in this level. You might have gathered by now, it's a maze. It is set up like an ant's nest, funnily enough. And there aren't really any landmarks. Aside from the actual grain barriers themselves, and I don't know, maybe a mushroom formation here and there, it's really easy to lose your way, to forget which way you're going, especially because the very first grain barrier that we passed, actually, the one that required 20, that opens up an entire network of tunnels. And by the way, new enemy type, grasshoppers. They don't really do anything. They just sort of trundle backwards and forwards. They are counted as armoured enemies. You can only kill them with blue, purple or gold berries, and they're kind of irritating when they drop from the ceiling, because if you're directly under the little cone of light when they fall, then unless you have some speed or, you know, some momentum going when you're moving, they're going to land on top of you and cost you a hit point. You can actually tell when you're getting near the ending goal post thing, because these little pebbles start falling from the ceiling, and also some larger rocks will occasionally fall from the ceiling, and if they touch you, they will damage you. They also occasionally drop health if they smash against the floor. Don't really know why. Only enemies drop health, so are these rocks sentient? I don't know, but don't question it. Anything that gives you health in this game is, well, it means you're not going to die, which means the game's over quicker. Anyway, yeah, that's the end of level goalpost there, but I am 100%ing the majority of levels in this game, so time for backtracking, yay! But this is exactly what I mean. That took me about 3 minutes to get to the ending goalpost there. This level is really short, but I kind of hate that, because... I don't know, I have an issue with games where taking the standard pathway, you know, not going out of your way to explore, is sort of costing you some of the experience in a way. Like, say you're playing this game, and you enjoy it for whatever reason. And, you know, I'm not going to question that. I don't like this game, but someone out there might. You might find some enjoyment in this, whatever. So you go through this level, if you just take the central pathway like any sane person would, then you're missing out on about 2/3 of the level. You're missing out on the gold berry, like I said, you're missing out on the flick letters. And that's just really bad design, in my opinion. Like, I'm all for hiding secrets in the level, I'm all for that. but when the secrets in the level are just the rest of the level, if the majority of the level requires backtracking in order to access, then I can't enjoy that, I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, as well as the grasshoppers, we have a couple of other new enemy types introduced, namely the thrusting centipedes that jab themselves out of the wall and strike at you. I have a specific issue with the centipedes that I will talk about later. Rest assured, I'm not overly fond of those enemies. They can go fuck themselves. But I'll be talking about that later. There are also these weird little maggoty enemies, and they only appear in this level for some reason. And they don't do anything. They're actually the least interesting and efficient enemy in this game because, well, most of the enemies in this game just sort of wander around in a small circle and hope to bump into you. You know, that's lazy design, but whatever. The maggots, however, move in a really, really small circle, and they themselves are really small. So if you ever die by maggot in this game, then just put the controller down. Put the controller down and reevaluate yourself. What I'm trying to do here is, you can jump on top of that mushroom to reach the green plant here and get up to the next platform, but I find the collision detection to be quite finicky, so yeah, just do what I do, just get a bit of a running jump and you'll be fine. If you take the route that I'm taking, when I was going through this level, I started out being really efficient. I started out going through the level with, you know, sort of with some degree of purpose, and then as it goes on, I get lost. You have no idea how much footage I cut out of this one. It was kind of terrible. But we're kind of getting to a problem that I mentioned in the last part now. This level's kind of big, and by kind of, I mean holy fucking hell, this level is way too big. There's too much, and it all looks the same. There's no variety in this level whatsoever. It's just narrow corridors. There's one of the centipedes I mentioned. Narrow corridors and boring, disinteresting textures. It's not fun. This level sucks. This is one of the worst levels in the game. And it's the second one, third if you count the training level. What went wrong? I mean, I get that, okay, it's an ant's nest, there's only so much you can do visually to make it interesting, but goddamn did they fail. Goddamn did they fail. I don't think they were even trying to make this one interesting. They knew this level was boring. That's why they padded it out with all sorts of backtracking and shit. I've actually tried recording this part a few times now, and just because there's so little to talk about in this level, it's really been grating on my nerves. So I guess I'll take this opportunity to talk about, oh actually here's a new thing. Some of the levels contain seeds that will always spawn a particular plant, so that seed there will always spawn the helicopter plant. You can tell them apart because they look slightly different. I don't really know how to describe them. And that didn't happen, by the way. We're just going to pretend that didn't happen. But something I want to get into about the later parts, concerning whether or not I 100% a level. There are, I believe, 3, maybe 4 levels in the game that I don't 100% in this LP, and I will explain why. Don't worry, I went back and did them off screen, let me just assure you of that. You don't get any reward for 100%ing everything, so... spoilers. Anyway, yeah, 50 fucking enemies. This is what I was talking about when I said that the gold berry is my most hated token to get in this game. There's 50 fucking enemies in this maze, and it really is a maze. Everything just looks the same. It's awful. I spent so long hunting down all 50 of these enemies. It must have taken me about 3/4 of an hour to get all of them, because I got lost. And as you'll see later on, there's a point where I hit 49, and then I'm just pissing about. I'm just wandering around, desperately trying to find this one maggot that I'm missing. And it drove me insane. I hated doing this so much. That's why this part's taken as long as it has. Anyway, there's the final flick letter. Here's my issue with the centipedes. I was going to go into this in a later part, but I'll sort of briefly touch on it now. Because they hide in the wall, they are by far the most likely enemy for you to miss when you're going on your gold berry hunting. Them and the earthworms. The earthworms aren't as bad because when they're hiding in the ground, they tend to have like a wider sort of detection range for when it comes to popping out the ground, whereas the centipedes, you have to be really fucking close to them before they emerge. And yeah, here's that part I was on about where I'm just wandering around and around and around, desperately trying to find this one enemy that I'm missing. And it was torturous. I hated doing it so much. And to be honest, I don't know why I bothered. This is probably one of those levels that I could have just left out and said, yeah, I'm doing it off screen, but there we go. It's done. Fuck this level, seriously.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I actually didn't mention when we were in the level is there were those little orange markers that we passed. Sort of gamer instincts suggest that they would be checkpoints, because you touch them and they emit like a trail of colourful smoke, but no, they're actually just markers. They don't do anything as such apart from reminding you of where you've already been. Anyway, we're coming up to a boss now. First boss in the game. Yeah, it's not really spoiled, it's Thumper. The fucking title card said it, it's Thumper. And the boss is basically the same as all the grasshoppers we've just been fighting, except he flies and he moves a little bit quicker. So you can end this fight really, really quickly if you want to, because there's a gold berry pickup, not a gold berry, there's a blueberry pickup directly to my left. All you have to do is grab the blueberry and then stand in front of him and pelt him with berries until he dies. Every boss in the game is pretty much like this. They're all considered as armoured, so yeah, blue, purple or gold again. But I'd say about... well, there's 5 bosses in the game. I'd say 3 of those can be killed with really no effort whatsoever. I mean, you can do this fight in like 20 seconds. However, even the boss arenas do have the 3 tokens in them, the grain, the flick, and the gold berry tokens, so I'm gonna go after them. And this is actually one of the easiest levels to 100% because all of the grain is scattered around on the ground level, so you don't have to worry about missing any grain. It's all in plain sight. There's no scavenger hunting involved with that. As for the gold berry tokens, they're not that hard to find, and yeah, there's one tricky jump to get that flick letter there, because you have to jump off the top of that blue mushroom, and the camera angle really isn't favourable. Also, don't let the boss get too close to you because he causes massive slowdown. It's sad when technical limitations about the game itself are more frightening than the boss's attack range. And I fumbled that sentence horribly, but you know what I was trying to say. Game is bad. There we go. Aside from ramming into you, Thumper is also has the ability to summon mosquitoes in pairs. I don't really know what causes him to do this, he just sort of does it whenever he feels like it. And the odd thing about these mosquitoes is when they hit you, they'll only ever hit you once, at which point they'll fly away again, so they're really not threatening at all. And even if he summons 2 at once, if one of them hits you, they both disappear. I mean, they really couldn't make it any easier. Look, there's a plant here spouting invincibility pickups in a fucking boss fight. Like, they couldn't make this any easier. And I know it's a kid's game. I know you can't, you can't expect like super ghouls and ghosts. But come on. Like, add some challenge for the kids. I mean, like, I was playing, well, the first game I ever played was Mazin Wars, and that's a really difficult game. Compared to that, this is just tedious, honestly. If you want to get up to this higher platform here, though, you actually have to be quite specific with where you put the seed, because there's only one corner that's low enough to the ground that you can get up there. By the way, I'm unashamedly save-stating my arse off in the background for this next jump, because, like I said before, the camera angle really isn't favourable, so I didn't want to be here all day. Yeah, please forgive the save-stating, but whatever, I edited those out. Or did I? I think I might have actually gotten that jump first time, but yeah, I did, I'm thinking of a later level. Also, slow down, haul that camera around. bastard hit me twice. Yeah, he does this thing sometimes where, what happened to the mosquito? Yeah, he does this thing sometimes where he'll hit you and then he'll sort of bounce off of you and hit you again before he retreats. Yeah, the fight's pretty much over now. Annoyingly, the mosquitoes actually count towards the gold berry tokens, so I need to wait for him to summon the other mosquito, purely so I can kill it and get that final little marker. Because aside from one, all of the bosses themselves count as an enemy that need to be killed with a gold berry. One thing that I haven't actually mentioned yet, when it comes to the berry pickups, like the actual, you know, picking up a blueberry rather than growing it yourself using purple tokens, berry pickups override one another. So if you pick up a blueberry while you already have the gold berry, then it'll be replaced and you're not getting the gold berry back. So yeah, watch what you're collecting. Anyway, that was the first boss over and done with, and oh god, I'm still traumatized from the tunnels, honestly. But anyway, next time we'll be moving on to the cliffside, which is honestly, I think that's actually a pretty decent level. So until then, this has been MarcBrightside, and thank God that's over.